mainline some Geritol, get my walker.
And it says we're live.
Yeah, it lies.
Oh my goodness.
All right. If you need support, you need to support the blanket fort. To do so, you need to donate here because it's supposed to be 100 degrees today.
It is 100 degrees.
Now we got 40 knots of wind too.
And
Air
it's windy.
conditioning. We need bought air.
Yes, I agree.
Because free air is copious and too
Hot.
much and
And
breaks
hot.
things.
And hot. So if you like coffee, and if you're watching this, of course you like coffee, contact King Harv's Imperial Coffees at www.kingharv.com. Let them know you heard about it from us. Among the Leaves tees for all of your smart-ass t-shirt needs. tinyurl.com, Among the Leaves tees. Friend of ours, let them know you heard about it from us.
Speaking of air conditioning,
Oh,
Richard posed a question in North Texas Troublemakers this morning.
Which Richard? There's like,
Cartwright.
okay, there's like
Oh,
6
God.
of them. You have to specify.
oh no.
About if had anybody had a $500 electric bill.
Huh. Yes.
Yeah.
Repeatedly.
Who doesn't?
I mean, air
I
conditioning during the
think
summer
so.
is over $600 a month for the blanket fort.
Yeah.
It's insane. And that's keeping it at like 78.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. For the house, I've never had one that high. I think
Boy, before-
I've never had one that was as high as 300, although I've come close.
The first year that we were at we were in our house here, we didn't realize that there was no insulation on the walls or the attic.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah, I've seen $500 this year,
Yeah.
but that was when it was down in the single digits.
Oh, see, I've got
Heat.
gas for heat.
Yeah, so do we,
So
thank God.
my gas bills are never that high.
I can't afford to get gas in my house.
I know, but
I'm on
it's
the wrong
nice
side of the
to
street.
right.
well, same
It's
problem.
nice because I moved into a house that already had that, which
Yeah.
is fantastic.
I mean,
So-
this big west wall gets all hot
Gets
during
all
the
hot.
summer, and
Gets
it's
all
just like a heat radiating thing.
Loved up
all
by the
summer.
sun. Gets
Yeah.
all loved up by the sun and radiates.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Big fan. I'm thinking big tapestries on this wall with some insulation would be great.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
No, Richard, we can't do a solar panel for the blanket fort as much as it would be.
why would I do a solar panel for the blanket?
S5 is literally
To
next door.
generate electricity.
What? They aren't electrifying enough sitting right here.
S5 Industries is literally next door. They
They
huge
don't, yeah.
solar panel, and no,
Considering what the hail has been doing to the roof.
right?
Yeah. I mean, because golf ball size hail does nothing,
Yeah, Rick pointed out one of our execs lived in Houston. He talked about $1,000 bills per month
Woo-hoo.
in the summer due to huge house. Yeah,
Well,
Yes,
yeah,
but
big
considering how much
house.
water they get from condensation
Yeah.
because the water just hanging in the
Yeah.
damn air there. And what is with this humidity? You guys lied to me. My hair's supposed to be a Tesla coil, not the limp linguini. So
Yeah,
I am
it's
tired of the humidity.
not kidding.
Not like I'm going to Chattanooga and not going to run right into more.
116 yesterday in Arizona.
Ugh.
So,
I'm gonna go over there.
is everybody tracking the Israeli military industry's announcement today?
Yes,
Since France canceled Israel being allowed at the air show, they've decided to demonstrate their goods over Tehran.
Honestly, I think that's a better,
At
better
Tehran.
marketing.
Is that serious or was that?
That's
'cause
what they did. Yeah.
What
No,
I
they,
saw
they,
was
act-
that
they actually put it up.
oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was a joke.
It is, but they still put it up.
Well, France is a joke and has been for decades. But I mean,
No, I meant I thought the
Mr.
announcement.
Coons says it's only 107 today with 9% humidity.
I
I don't
would
hear
take
it.
that
I don't
over
hear
the whole 80% humidity. And
Oh, yeah.
Jonna brought the humidity with her.
no, I did not.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
We didn't have it till she got there.
This is all coming from the south. So whoever came up from the south, it's their damn fault. So yeah, no, I don't like this.
So we have multiple things to talk about today.
One of them, Holly Chisholm, thanks to y'all, got a #1 bestseller for her book, The Passing of the Age.
Woohoo! Well done, guys.
So
Well done.
off to a good start with that one.
Mad Science at number 3.
Mad Science, number 3 for Mad Science, our
Yeah.
latest antho. Very good.
Greg, everybody's ready for the Liberty Con that's going to go.
Oh, this is going to be an interesting year. I'm probably going to be overstimulated before I get there. Rita's not coming, which stresses me out anyway. So here we go. We can do this. We're going to have to do this.
Ma'am, humidity really sucks in West Virginia. Oh boy, that's it.
So
you get to go do this. I am not going to go do this. I'm going to go do something else.
So I thought I would start with today's Democratic games. So everybody knows about the fact that the Democratic National Committee decided to spend $20 million trying to reconnect with young straight males. Because that was the largest demographic they lost in the last election. Don't know why. So 20 million to figure out how to reconnect with straight white males. The Texas Democrats yelled, "Hold my beer," or chai latte, or what the fuck ever. And
Soy latte. Soy.
Soy latte, yeah.
voted this guy in as vice chair of finance for the Texas Democratic Party.
It's boba tea because that's the largest balls they have in the bunch.
So my question is, did y'all get a receipt? Did you get a receipt for that 20 million?
Yeah, they're gonna need it.
I mean, far be it for me. I love me some Napoleon Bonaparte, and I do not want to interrupt my enemy when they are committing an error. But there's a mercy rule here.
That doesn't even cover it.
Woo! I mean, damn.
Yeah. In other news, the media is all over the fact that the USS Nimitz battle group is charging for the Persian Gulf.
I thought it was Med. No, Persian. Because
Once again, they do not understand the tyranny of distance.
no, they don't. And can the Nimitz turn in the Persian Gulf?
Yeah.
Okay.
They can all turn and go.
Hey, it's a legitimate question.
But-
for an expedition.
Yeah.
You have to go through the Straits of Hormuz sideways.
Once they clear the Malacca Straits, which they should do tonight, it's 4,100 nautical miles.
They're crossing the Pacific. It's a big ass.
10 to 15 days, which is great because everybody's ignoring the Ford and the Ike battle group sitting in East Med within 1,000 miles of Terra Round direct flight, which is great. And oh, by the way, the 28 tankers that supposedly surged to the east did not go to Finland. So, and they did not drag anybody with them.
I noticed that the official Israeli X, Twitter, very graciously granted the Americans permission to fly in Iranian airspace.
Well, the Saudis and everybody else have already given permission for overflights
Honest,
to both countries.
the Jordanians have been shooting down Iranian drones and missiles.
Yeah.
And
For good reason, because the fuckers can't shoot.
And the Saudis, last I heard on the quiet, were actually allowing Israeli jets to land, have a piddle break, and refuel.
Well, and the other thing you got to understand too, and I don't know how many people do understand this. What you are seeing is the difference in technology. You are seeing Russian technology on one hand, and you're seeing Western technology on the other hand.
I will no, sort of. What you're seeing is Russian technology with inshallah maintenance for the last 40 years.
No. That is how bad those missiles are.
Yeah, but they've also had inshallah maintenance.
That's immaterial. That's inshallah maintenance is probably better than Russian maintenance.
Yeah, that's a point.
But when you think about it, the Israelis stuck a missile through the living room of one apartment in Tehran to take out one of the military leaders.
Surprise, asshole.
All Iran can do is lob ballistics
Yeah.
in the general direction of Israel
That away.
and hope it hits something.
Yeah,
The
it's
problem is where they're hitting is in the civilian area.
yeah, and I'm not sure that if they're Iranian, well, the mullahs, it wouldn't surprise me if they're deliberately aiming at civilian areas. It also wouldn't surprise me if they're not, because like Jim said, a trebuchet has better accuracy than Iranian.
Yeah, Tom, good point. Their stuff's about as accurate as using a Frog 7.
No, it's the
And
and
it's the same thing with the Scud attacks.
it,
And that's one of the reasons that, at least on Fox and the other organizations that are reporting, are not detailing where the strikes are hitting. They learned that the first time around.
well,
After CNN got threatened with being taken off the air by George Bush.
somebody got crunched in some part of Israel yesterday.
Yeah.
For attempting to record missile strikes.
Yeah.
And they were informed that that would be bomb. They're doing bomb damage assessment. What do you want? Bomb damage assessment for the Iranians, and told stop doing that.
Yeah.
And they said something about freedom of the press and got crunched.
As they should have been.
I would have explained it to them, quite honestly.
Yeah.
I'd have just told them, hit crunch time.
Yeah.
No, the Israelis are doing good work. And for everybody that's losing their tiny little minds over this, you do realize that in 1979, Iran formally declared war on the United States. We've, as far as Iran is concerned, we've been in a state of war since 1979.
Yes.
Iran is personally, directly, and financially responsible for the murders of U.S. military personnel, U.S. civilians, massive amounts of damage to infrastructure. They've done it all. We've been at war. Now, we can go la, 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 all we want, but they think we're at war. So we can't afford to get involved in Israeli war. We've been involved since 79.
Yep.
Don't know what to tell you.
War was declared against us in 79.
Yeah.
I
Beirut
was
in
in the
83.
military when that happened.
Beirut in 83 was financed by Iran to hurt Americans.
Yep. That's exactly right. Freedom marchers of Gaza, they're getting their asses handed to them by the Egyptians.
By Egyptian civilians.
Yes.
How? Well, apparently,
Well, now they're claiming that was the secret police that took them on.
no,
No,
because
it was not.
they still
Not
have
very secret.
the Mukharabat doesn't throw people on buses.
No.
They break limbs and then throw you into dungeons. If it had been the Mukharabat, there would have been buckshot-filled rubber hoses.
Yeah.
That's so apparently the data or the intel I'm getting now is that when they got to the Rafah crossing, they decided to block all the traffic and start marching. That there's no video of that. The marchers themselves apparently were smart enough not to put it up.
Yeah.
But apparently they blocked all traffic, did the link arms, and started marching. And so that's why the video you see later, they're sitting off to the side because they'd already gotten their butts whooped once.
Supposedly they ran over a couple of them.
I would not be surprised.
And I
in
don't
the
care.
slightest.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the Middle East.
Yes, life is cheap in the Middle East.
I'm surprised they didn't get run over with a bulldozer.
The Egyptians have a better wall than Israel. Yes.
And they're fed up. They are flat fed up. They are. I don't know how many times
Well, they want the Palestinians out too.
everybody does.
Yeah.
I don't know how often I have to keep repeating this, but no Middle Eastern country tolerates the Palestinians. They're a problem. They're a cancer wherever they go, even other Middle Eastern countries.
And have been for years.
Have been from the get-go.
President one says Oklahoma is passing a law decriminalizing hitting protesters with your car while escaping.
And they're only the latest of multiple states doing that. I like to call it the Reginald Denny law.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly, Greg. They do look at them as locusts.
Well, not only locusts, but every Muslim country, Jordan.
Oh yeah.
Jordan accepted them after the Israelis stomped a mud hole in their ass and walked it dry. Jordan said, "Come here." So what they do in return?
Tried to kill the king.
Yeah, they tried to assassinate the king twice.
Yeah.
They took over cities and said they were autonomous Palestinian zones where Jordanian law no longer applied. The Jordanian king was a better man than I would have been. And finally, God bless them, the Jordanian troopies had enough and brought the hate and ran the Palestinians off to southern Lebanon.
Yep.
And yes, the entire mess in Lebanon, Palestinians.
Yep.
And everybody knows the Black September terror group, right?
Palestinians.
Well, it's called Black September because the Black September was when the Jordanian military kicked the shit out of the Palestinians and threw them out.
Yep.
And the very first terror act of Black September was assassinating the Jordanian prime minister, the childhood friend of the king.
Yeah. Yes, sir, Arafat.
Was this father of the current king? Yes.
Yeah.
And the current king, God bless him, aside from being our sort of geek, he has a appearance on Star Trek Next Generation because he is a Star Trek geek.
Yeah.
God bless him.
And also his queen is American. No, Queen Laura is American.
The king
he also trained at Fort Bragg.
Yeah, he did, and he spent a great deal of money to build. And don't get me wrong, the JFK Special Warfare Center at Fort Bragg is an excellent site. The Special Warfare Center in Jordan is the best money can buy.
It is the best in the world.
It's the best money can buy. It is, and everybody goes there for training. And he's a fighter pilot. He's Special Forces qualified, and there's a wonderful video of him doing PWAC, personal work in aircraft, jump master for some of his Jordanian army doing airborne operations, and you can tell that he was about to go out the door, and only his security staff kept him from going because it's like, whee!
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
He did fly missions against ISIS also.
Yep. He's a good guy.
On the Jordanian Training Center, they use a lot of Americans over there as trainers.
Oh, yeah.
I happen to know one guy that's was over there. He's back now. And he just made general in the Marine Corps Reserve. But he went over and did a 2-year tour.
He had the Americans and Brits.
Yeah.
Best, their top special forces guys, SAS and Delta and everybody else showed up, and he handed them a check.
Yeah.
And they said, "There's no amount on here." He said, "I don't care, build it." Yeah. And they went, "We love you."
Yeah.
And they built.
They did.
Woo! Iranian state media, according to Carlton, Iranian state media is claiming that there's about to be an action will be remembered for centuries. Did everybody see the Iranian state media in mid-broadcast get smacked by the Israelis? Well, that little girl can run, can she?
Yeah.
Blam!
Yeah. Yeah, that one was rather interesting. So we've caught up on that.
Yes.
Cedar?
I mean, I'm just getting ready I'm going to be making a long road trip. And today, because I'm leaving for quite a while, I made pickles. So this is not exactly world shattering. It's just, what do you do when you have garden produce and cucumbers? You can't freeze cucumbers.
Yeah.
So it was cucumbers and every other vegetable that I had stashed in the fridge, and pulled a whole bunch of stuff out of the garden. And
Pickled veg.
I made gardeniera, which is Italian or French, don't remember which, for random whatever is growing in the garden. Gardeniera literally means garden.
Yeah,
So it is a
giardiniera.
Yeah.
Or whatever. In Italy, it's giardiniera.
Yeah.
Gardeniera, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's literally the garden in a jar.
Yeah.
And that's what I
And
did.
what it is, it's like Cedar says, it's your garden veg pickled.
Mhm.
And I grew up on it because in Africa and the Mediterranean, that's one of the sides.
Yeah.
It's a palate cleanser.
Yep.
One of the sides at every meal. So
Yeah.
I go to Cedars, I head for the fridge.
Yeah,
No,
Saturday
or you
I
can
was out and I
keep
felt
the
bad.
friggin' kimchi.
No, we'll see. Okay, kimchi is a different process. So kimchi is fermented. It's a lactobacillus
Yes.
Accelerated fermentation. And I actually was talking to Sanford, and I'm not doing crock pickles. So your classic German pickle that's a cold process. You put them in a crock, you pack them with salt and brine, and the lactobacillus moves in, and you get a fermented pickle. They're
Yeah,
really lovely. They're
that's
very
how-
crisp.
That's how Rita preserves our lemons.
But I can't do it here in Texas, I don't think, because I don't have a root cellar anymore.
Yeah.
And we keep our house, I'm talking about electricity bills, we keep our house around 78, 79 degrees.
Yeah.
Because my
It's a
husband's not
terrarium.
prices.
It's a terrarium.
The house is a terrarium? It's full of plants. I mean, you're not wrong.
Hot rocks.
But I can't preserve stuff in
Yeah.
the garage, goodness forbid, because it's 100 degrees at least all the time, all summer. So I'm like, I don't know that I can do crock pickles here
Yeah.
in Texas because I think it's going to be too warm.
Fridge.
Well, but to get back to the original, how many jars did you make today?
I did 22 jars. That's pint and half pint size.
So week and a half.
A little more than that, just because I'm not feeding y'all every week.
Yeah.
I mean, go faster, but maybe I should start bringing a jar over to Jim's whenever I show up.
Were
But
they dill pickles or bread and butter or what?
so a little bit of both.
Rita
So
loves bread and butter pickles, just to let you know.
yeah, I did a couple of jars of sweets, bread and butters. But most of them are dill. They don't have sugar.
I love doing
I
that.
did, however, slice. I had a daikon, a really big radish in
Yeah.
there, and I sliced that, and I sliced what I had left of the ginger, and I used the sweet brine, and I pickled the daikon and ginger.
That'll be
So-
interesting.
Yeah,
Half of what's on here watched me eat a pickle a couple years ago and laughed their
Yeah.
asses off.
yes. That's a whole other problem.
Richard says you can always do it Korean style, backhoe in big Korean pots.
I'd have to bury it pretty damn deep to keep it at 55 degrees. You're not wrong with the refrigerator, though.
Yeah.
And I was telling Sanford what I should do is get another cheap fridge like I have for the beverage fridge, stick it in the garage, and not set it to 40 degrees, but 55, and have a
That's what, like I
root cellar in a fridge.
said, Rita knows how much I love preserved lemons.
Mhm.
So she does preserved lemons with brine
Yeah.
and salt,
Yeah.
which is lactobacillus.
Yeah.
And she sticks in the fridge.
Yeah. I don't have a whole lot of fridge
Right,
space.
right. We've also watched you drink pickle juice more than once. Yeah, that's good.
I buy pickle juice by the gallon at Atwood's.
Yeah.
Because when I'm hot, and like today, I went out and I mowed the lawn this morning. I had to hit the sweet spot between not too early so I didn't tick off the neighbors, and not so late that it was 90 degrees
Yeah.
already. And I was just dripping when I came back in, and that's when you want the pickle juice.
Yeah.
Because you're replacing all that liquid and all those salts that you're
Yeah.
just gushing out. But yeah. But I had to
Nancy-
mow the lawn because I'm going to be gone for 5 days.
And Nancy's going, preserved lemons.
Yes. I can't wait until I grow enough lemons to do my own
Yeah.
preserves.
Preserved citrus was a thing in the Mediterranean and North Africa.
Yeah.
Preserved citrus is a thing.
Well, okay, so pickles are one of the original basic ways to preserve food.
Yeah.
And prior to the advent of canning, which kind of came in with Napoleon, it was that late.
Yeah.
But prior to the advent of canning, you had drying, smoking, salting, pickling.
Yeah.
And that was about it. And you did some things were combinations of those techniques.
Yes, Richard, your pickles were really enjoyed too.
But so if you don't have the ability to freeze food, and if you don't have the capacity to have a refrigerator, then you have to have some way of preserving food.
Yeah.
And in the Middle East, you've got the heat. Now in Persia, which is now Iran,
Yeah.
may it go back to being
It's about
Persia.
to be Persia again.
I was going to say, may it go back to being Persia. They had really cool systems that involved digging a big hole
Yeah.
and building a tower over the top of it.
Yep.
And they actually had the ability to keep ice in those things.
Yeah.
And they did a lot of food preservation down in those systems. I can't remember what the name of them is.
James wants to know more about preserved lemons.
Oh, you take lemons or limes or blood oranges. My favorite is blood oranges.
Can't get them here.
No,
I've tried.
not real ones. And you cut them into the biggest you go is wedges. Rita cuts them into thick half coins, and then you pack them in a jar with brine and a whole bunch of salt, and you stick them in the fridge for a couple of weeks, and then it wonderfully concentrates the flavor. You can buy pickled lemons in U.S. Middle Eastern stores. You can get pickled, and people will say, "Oh, I got pickled lemons." The first to say is, "Don't forget to wash the salt." Shit.
Yeah.
Because they will be crystallized with salt. You just rinse the salt
Yeah.
off where you put them in your food,
Yeah.
because it brings a lot of salt to the party.
You warned me about that when I bought.
Yeah.
So the ones that I have bought at the Middle Eastern markets down in Dallas, there's a tiny Middle Eastern market up here. I've been in once. I don't remember if they had preserved lemons,
I'll guarantee they did.
but the ones down in Dallas, I was getting them in, it's like a bucket, and they're actually very small lemons and
Yeah.
whole.
Mhm.
So then
Really?
yeah.
How odd.
And I rinse them well and then cut them down before I put them into whatever I'm making with them.
Every Lala I who fed me in North Africa would take the pulp out,
Mhm.
and the rinds and pith are what preserve lemons, and it's wonderful flavor. My little lady, she likes to, if she's boiling rice that she's going to put preserved lemons in, she'll take the pulp and throw the pulp in there while the rice is boiling. The pulp goes away, but boy, does it add a nice wang to the.
Yeah.
Well, and it also helps with certain diseases
Yes.
like jaundice, among other things.
Well, I
scurvy.
mean, scurvy
Scurvy, yeah.
is your classic for lemons, and other citrus fruit. Although there's also some interesting data on scurvy, and just eating fresh meat is sufficient, but
Yeah.
not preserved meat.
Not salted meat.
Not salted meat.
Salted
It
beef.
has to be fresh meat. They
Yeah.
were talking about one of the Arctic expeditions where they managed to stave off scurvy because they were killing and eating
The
seals.
Yeah.
I think it was seals, maybe seals and something else. Don't recall right
They,
now.
they learned the quickness that if you happen to get a polar bear, lucky you,
Don't eat the liver.
don't eat liver.
Yeah.
Do not eat liver.
So liver is extremely high in vitamin A to a level that will poison
Lethal
you.
amounts of vitamin A.
Yeah. So
Yes, Amazon does sell preserved
That's-
lemons.
If I want to disappoint Rita because she loves making preserved lemons, I will buy preserved lemons, preserved limes, and occasionally a preserved blood orange. Blood oranges aren't as sweet as regular oranges.
no, they're not.
And they are only grown in Sicily, contrary to what you may hear.
And a preserved blood orange is great, but they are damn hard to find.
I can get a blood orange tree and grow it here.
It won't grow here.
It'll grow here.
It won't produce anything.
It will probably produce anything, but it can't stay outside all winter.
No.
They're one of the more tender citruses,
they're
which
very
is why
gentle.
they're not grown broadly
Yeah.
here in the U.S.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And I love blood oranges. I do.
I love them too. I used
Yeah.
to be able to get them at Jungle Jim's in Ohio, but only seasonally. They would
Yeah.
have them, and I would buy them and do fun things with. Blood orange meringue pie is lovely.
Yeah.
If you're used to
Blood orange juice in the morning is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
if you're used to citrus, but the Mediterranean, North Africa, Mediterranean area basin of North Africa love them their citrus. And for those who don't know, a blood orange, it looks like orange, a little smaller than normal. But when you cut it, the inside is red, thus blood, red all the way up to purple, depending on.
Yeah.
I think the ones that we get here tend to more purple, and the flavor is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Best use of blood oranges is Negroni. Yeah, that too.
They're not wrong.
I won't turn down Negroni,
Yeah.
but a candied blood orange, that was the treat I grew up with, was candied blood oranges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, candied anything, lemon, orange peel,
Yeah.
blood
Yeah.
orange peel.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a reason that your Northern European delicacies called for citron or
Yeah.
other candied citrus peels, because that was how they could get, again, going back to food preservation and transportation, is you can't grow citrus in Great Britain or Northern Europe and large swaths of the United States.
Right.
So the only way to get citrus was either very seasonally, because it does transport and store quite well, but for long-term storage, you candied it.
Yeah.
And then that went into your fruitcakes.
There was a little shop in Catania, Sicily, that would sell candied blood orange by the bag.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
A little tough at first, and then it turns chewy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only problem was by the time you got back to base, the bag was half gone.
Yeah, only half.
Yeah. And they limited how many you could buy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, it's even in Sicily, it tends to rare. Blood orange is
Yeah.
not a prolific plant.
Yeah.
Um,
See, the thing is, I'm learning because I'm doing a bunch of research in it, because I'm in Texas and I want to grow citrus, but Texas is a quarantine state because of citrus greening. So I am limited to what I can
actually get here in Texas.
Here in Texas,
you
I
cannot-
can't have it shipped in from
do
anywhere.
not get caught at the Texas border with citrus.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Well, and I mean, in my case, this probably means that I will wind up making a couple of trips down to the south of Texas to
Rio
get
Grande
plants that I can't get up
Yeah.
here. But there are certain kinds of citrus that are hardy enough to grow in ground here.
Yeah.
Yuzu is one of them, and yuzu is not considered an edible citrus, but it is, the juice of it is extremely tart, like tartar than lemons and limes.
Oh wow!
But it is intensely fragrant. So it's one of those things that I want to grow, because I have a feeling that candying that would be really good. And so there's a couple of others. One of the satsumas, which I have, is hardy to this area. I will provide it with a lot of protection. Unfortunately, none of the lemons are hardy to this area.
No.
So there's a couple of kumquats and citrange. There's some weird crossbreed that was developed in China.
Citrus will crossbreeds worse than peppers do.
Yeah, no, it's kind of cool actually, but there are citrus that are hardy as far north as Zone 7, and we're technically Zone 8A here.
Yeah,
we're
So
Texas zone. It's
I know.
Michael says sour oranges make great marmalade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I'm wondering about with the yuzu. But I'm probably going to have to drive down to Austin or even further south to
Oh,
find
you like
it.
to go down McAllen.
There's
Rio
a
Grande
couple
Valley.
of rare citrus breeders that I've encountered
Really?
through gardening groups. They're not like big nurseries, but they have a sale once or twice a year. And if I can get down to one of those, I can get some.
James Short
Weird
asked,
stuff.
Cedar, can you grow blood oranges in the greenhouse? They'd have to already be here.
I would have to be able to get a blood orange tree. I'd have to look at my sources to see if I can. And the problem with having a greenhouse, or what they call an orangery, is that it requires heating, and
Really?
that gets expensive. Yeah, because greenhouse isn't insulated.
Yeah.
So the big conservatories and greenhouses are all heated, usually large propane heaters.
You can't get cold. You can't get oranges cold.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Or lemons cold.
there's a
Certain ones can't get below 40 degrees, and I
Yeah.
think blood orange is one of those.
there's a I visited an orangery in Austin, and they'd actually dug it into the ground, and then the glass
Mhm.
roof sat directly on the ground.
Yeah,
And they said that works great.
it does.
And
It
Rita
does.
went, "Can you?" I said, "No, baby, we don't have a backhoe."
Jim says, my mother had lemon and lime trees near Beaumont. Big freeze a couple of years ago, killed them. Yep.
Yeah. The big freeze in 21 wiped out a lot of people because there's always and so your commercial production and gardeners are two different things. And gardeners in particular will get crazy. I say this as one
As a gardener,
about growing specimen stuff. So rare plants that nobody else can grow, pushing the envelopes of where things will grow.
gardeners are human. Fancy that.
So there were people that had stuff that was not supposed to be able to grow in this area, and unfortunately, if you expand that to the point where you can't cover and protect everything when there's an extraordinary event, and the big freeze of 21 was an extraordinary event, and it killed a lot of people's stock.
Sister says, my dad took an orange seed from Florida and been growing it in his office for years.
Yeah, I talked to somebody that had moved from California, and they brought a citrus with them that they had grown from seed, and I was like, please don't tell anyone that. That's illegal.
Yes, very much so.
And it was like, but my wife grew it from a seed, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. Don't tell anybody that.
A game warden will show up on a flamethrower, and you won't have that.
Well, he also told me that they had moved here and then planted it outside in Wichita Falls. So it really wasn't going to be a problem.
It's gone. It's gone. No, somebody asked, "Okay, Ben Hunter, seeds are not good there." Seeds can be good as long as they come from a plant here in Texas. You cannot introduce any form of outside citrus to the state of Texas.
Yeah, there's a disease called citrus greening, and Texas is quarantined from the rest of the country because we don't have it and we don't want it.
Well,
So-
if you're an old fart, you remember trying to go into California
They used to do the same
and the
thing.
searches at the state line.
Yeah. Donna says they still do them.
Well, if you've ever run across a miniature beagle doing a sniff at a government checkpoint, they're not looking for coke; they're looking for citrus.
Yeah, and there's quite a number of things that are really not allowed to be transported across borders or state lines in some cases. Most people are not aware of these things. And again, on the gardener level, where it's just like somebody with a citrus tree tucked in their moving truck, most of the time that's not going to get caught. And most of the time it probably isn't a problem, but it really is something that you should check into before you transport firewood, live plants. There's places I know where they actually have wash stations where you take your boat out of the lake and you have to wash it thoroughly.
We have those all over Texas now because of zebra mussels.
Well, zebra mussels, and there's an aquatic weed in New England that they're trying to keep under control.
There's zebra mussels are in several of the lakes here, and the Red River watershed for that matter. And if you're on any of the zebra lakes, when you have to steam wash your boat.
Jim says, regardless of the law, seeds do not guarantee a fruiting tree.
No.
Yes.
Nope.
So that's the thing. The other thing too is most citrus is grafted. So normally it's grafted onto what's called trifoliate orange, which is incredibly hardy. Trifoliate orange, I think you can grow down to zone 6. It does not have an edible fruit. The leaves are fragrant. If you squash them, they smell orangey. But there's trifoliate orange is used as a rootstock, and I have seen so many pictures of people going, "What's wrong with my orange?" And they post a picture, and the graft has died, and all they've got left is trifoliate. And all of us are going, "Well, it's not going to have any fruit." But like anything else, if you grow it from seed, you don't know how it was pollinated.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you might get a hybrid. The hybrid might be delicious. Chances are, statistically, the hybrid will not be good at all. This is why citrus and a lot of other fruit is reproduced clonally through grafting.
Yeah.
So you have a tree that you know has good fruit. You take cuttings off of it and you graft and make other trees.
Zebra mussels. Yeah, the one of the first signs that your lake has got a zebra mussel infestation is the fact that it's clear.
Yeah.
Because they're extremely effective filter feeders. They're also razor sharp and proliferate like bacteria.
Yeah.
Well, freshwater mussels are good eats.
I don't think zebra mussels get big enough to.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
I
not
think
familiar
they're
with the zebra
little bitty
mussel. Oh,
ones.
they're little. Okay.
Yeah,
never
they're-
mind.
And then,
Some of the freshwater mussels get really big.
but they pack on. They'll grow on each other, and they'll
Yeah,
pack on and
yeah.
shut down anything in the water.
So here's the other interesting thing, which is if we're not talking about a
Depending
zebra
on what
mussel,
you've got, James, we'll take apples.
James Anders has 7 apple trees and about 2,500 apples.
ooh,
Cedar's going through Childress later on. Just throw that out there.
Apple pies.
Speaking of freshwater mussels, something interesting that I did not know is that a lot of freshwater mussels are federally protected because the button industry almost eradicated all of the freshwater mussels from like the Mississippi and a lot of the other big rivers.
Yeah.
So some freshwater mussels grow quite large and are tasty to eat. You should never admit that you have done that.
Well, Resident One makes a good point too. They're dangerous in lakes because one, they'll slice you up.
Yeah.
And the other problem is anything that uses lake water, like new plants on the
Yeah,
Great
the
Lakes,
cooling.
huge problems because they will actually block the intakes and outlets.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're in Lake Texoma, and one of the reasons when they found it because the
Block the intake.
the sluice gate on
Yeah.
Texoma, they blocked the sluice gate.
Yeah.
And James Anders says you're welcome to apples. Cedar will be by here in a little while.
We may have to come up and go to supper with you or go to lunch.
Yeah, we may talk, James. It wouldn't be on my way out because I'm going for several days, so it would have to be on my way back.
Need to get to freeze drying those things.
Freeze drying is another one that's really cool, and I cannot afford to invest in the equipment to do it.
Ugh,
Fuji,
God,
Pink Lady, and Pink Lady.
Ooh.
Jim, we need to talk.
Yeah.
no. Oh yes.
But yeah, freeze dryers are expensive. I
Yeah.
saw a used one for like $1,500, and I was like, I can't afford that. So I need to do a dehydrator at some point. Probably not this year, maybe next year. When my fruit trees start to bear,
Yeah.
I need to be able to do something with all of that.
Oh, not ready till fall.
No. It's too early for apples.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not. It's June. There are June apples,
Yeah.
but we're still early in June.
What frustrates the hell out of me, I went shopping the other day.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting to get peaches in.
Yeah.
Not a single freestone peach in the place.
Really?
Interesting.
Everything was clingstone.
So,
Monroe
July
nut.
12th is Peach Day at the farmers market locally. So, I also have a half a dozen or so peaches on my little peach tree.
Clingstone or freestone?
I think they're supposed to be freestone, but until I do the first harvest, I'm not going to make any promises. Because the other thing about gardening, I know you remember, Ian, because this happened with the Tam jalapenos, and you were looking forward to this. And what we got instead, because the seeds got mixed up, were
Nationally mixed up.
nationally. This was huge scandal in the garden seed world. What we got instead were banana
Or
peppers.
banana peppers. Like, that's the weirdest damn jalapeno. That's a banana pepper.
Yeah, I'm looking at them when they first started setting fruit. And I'm like, do Tam jalapenos look weird? Because I'd never grown them before. For all I knew.
Oh, God.
So this year, I bought a couple of different kinds of eggplant seeds because I wanted to have some neat eggplant. I've got one that's an orange stripy, it's a Turkish, and it'll be round and it's starting to set fruit. And I have some that are the long, skinny, slicing kind. And I had bought one that's supposed to be white with purple stripes. And what grew looked like an eggplant up until about a week ago when it started to go to flower. And I looked at the flowers and I'm like, that is not an eggplant flower. I have 2 fine specimens of Datura, also known as moonflower,
Interesting.
the cultivated version of Jimson weed.
Joel Salmon, explain the difference in peaches, please. Okay, have you ever eaten a peach? A freestone peach, if you slice it and then peel it, nothing sticks to the seed, the stone. You get the little preserved brain stone. The clean stone, you cut it and everything stick, and you can't. The stone.
You can cut it off, but you wind up wasting a fair amount of flesh.
You waste more peach
So-
than you save.
Yeah.
Well, it feels that way sometimes.
Nectarines. If you've eaten a nectarine, most nectarines are freestone.
Yeah.
I used to prefer nectarines because
Most
can't stand freestone.
apricots are freestone.
so when the seed, the pit, when you split it open in a freestone, there won't be anything stuck. You can
Yeah.
pull it out and piss off your grandfather the next
And
growing season
also,
when he hits it with the
they are
lawnmower.
excellent in homemade vanilla ice cream.
Ho, ho, ho. The clean stone, all the meat clings, and you've got to cut it loose, and it's a pain.
And it's a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And you lose more than you save.
That's why I used to prefer nectarines.
Yeah, I think I have the 2 peaches I have are Ranger, and I just forgot the other one. And I think they're supposed to both be freestones because I will try not to buy a cling.
Yeah.
Because there's no point in me growing a cling stone.
Yeah.
I don't like them. Now there's the other one is that you can get, and I don't know that they're available commercially. I've never seen them in a store. It's what's called a donut peach.
Yeah.
And they're like flat donut or flying saucer, they're called. And
They are odd.
they are very odd. I've
I don't
never
know if
grown
I've
them.
I don't know if I've ever seen one.
They're not. I've never seen them commercially. I've seen them once or twice in a farmer's market,
Yeah.
not locally. But I think they're very new on the market. And I was tempted to grow one, but I'm also like, I don't know what the fruit's like, if that makes sense. Just because it looks cool isn't
Yeah.
a good reason for
Doesn't
me
mean
to
it
put a
don't
fruit
taste
tree
good.
in. Right.
Yeah. That's
Right.
always the issue.
Andrew says apricots grow really well here. It used to be in North Texas, West Texas, there were apricot trees everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Used to apricots and
Pears.
pears and
Pomegranates?
pomegranates. Thank you.
Yes.
Pomegranates. When I first moved here, they were everywhere. You could find an apricot tree just about any alley you walked down.
So there's a couple of things going on with that. One is that most people don't grow fruit the way they used to.
Right.
It used to be that you always had a couple of fruit trees.
Mhm.
These days, it's all about the landscaping, and fruit is messy.
Yeah.
You either have to do something with the fruit, which most people don't preserve their own food,
Yeah.
to come back to the pickles.
Or they don't know how.
They don't know how. A lot of young women are scared of canning.
Yeah.
So and
Well, they've heard all the horror stories.
well, and that's
Yeah.
it. It's the horror stories, not just from pressure canning.
Yeah.
Because I don't do a lot of pressure canning. I do a lot of hot pack.
Yeah.
Pickles and jams are easy to hot pack. But
Baby, don't listen. I've watched Rita canning a lot of stuff, and if my little sweetheart can can stuff with no issues, don't listen, baby.
so
Anybody can can stuff.
well, that's exactly it. There's a myth that canning is difficult because the
it's
other
not.
half of that, aside from pressure canning, because you don't have to pressure can if you're
Yeah.
uncomfortable with it. But the other half of it is that they're all deathly afraid of botulism.
Yeah.
That they're not going to do it right and it's going to poison their family. Well, the instance of actually having botulism poisoning from home canned goods is so small that you are more likely to get stomped to death by a cow.
Yeah.
If you live in a city.
If you get botulism from your own home canning, your line is weak and
Yeah.
it deserves to die out.
Bill, I will tell you, I understand your plan is to get rid of the Bradford pears. Bradford pears do not pollinate. They will kill any pollination of pear trees.
I hate Bradford pears. They
The problem
stink.
is
They stink.
they will do it anywhere within about a square mile. So unless you can clear any of those damn things from at least a mile away, you're screwed.
I hate
Yeah.
Bradford pears. They
Bradford,
stink.
Bradford pears are unfortunately highly invasive and have
Yes.
invaded pretty much the entirety of the North American continent. Um,
Much like kudzu for the same reason.
and still, people wind up getting them in their landscaping because they're cheap. The
Well, they're cheap
problem
and they have a pretty flower.
and pretty fall leaves because
Yeah.
they'll turn a bright red. But the problem with that is that the landscapers are laughing and running because at 25 years they will spontaneously self-destruct.
Yeah.
They grow as a cluster of branches and it's incredibly weak.
Yep.
They all branch out at the same point on the trunk. And if you have a Bradford pear close to your house or where you park on a regular basis, get it taken out now.
Yep.
Because it will fall on something, says the woman that had to push one off of her roof and cut it down with the help of a friend.
Yeah.
It was unfortunately my neighbor's tree, but still.
Somebody in what was the 80s decided Bradford pear looked good. So all of the housing developments in the 80s put in friggin' Bradford pears.
They're cheap.
Oh yeah, they're
It's not even that looks good. They're cheap and they don't have a large, messy fruit, which comes back to this is why people don't grow, because they don't want the fruits to be dropping all over their lawn.
Yes, and when the fruits drop over your lawn, if you're in North Texas, the hogs are not far behind.
yes.
Which is probably also an incentive to not grow fruit unless you're going to be harvesting and taking care of it.
Yeah, but
Unless you want to bait the hogs in which case, go forth.
South Carolina people down there outside of Columbia had a pear, basically a pear orchard for
Pear orchard, yeah.
60, 70 years.
Oh, God.
And
I know where this is going.
some asshole came in and put a subdivision up window,
Yeah.
killed the entire orchard. And when they sued, all the builder did was go, "Oh, sorry, bankrupt."
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Formed a
well,
new company the next day and went right on down the fucking road.
the builders will do that anyway because
Yeah.
they'll build crappy houses with
That-
crappy
that-
landscape.
Yeah.
They'll build a addition. For those you don't know, at least here in North Texas, what they do, especially if they have California licenses printed on their trucks, is they'll come in, they'll form a company, they'll buy and build a subdivision, and as soon as they hand the key to the last guy, they're on the way to dissolve the company.
Yep.
And then the next day, after they get rid of the hangover, they form a different company, buy some land, make a subdivision. As soon as they get rid of the key to the last house, they fold the company, and it's I friggin' hate this crap.
They usually move out of the state rather quickly too.
Yeah.
Because
There's
in
a-
some cases people have tracked them down and had a confrontation with builders.
There's an inspector whose videos I've caught a few
Cy?
times. He specializes in new builds.
Yeah.
Side,
Side,
Yeah, I think it's
blue shirt and booty hat.
Yep,
Yep,
that's
Cy.
him. That's him.
Woo!
Yeah, no, he's fun.
There's another one in Texas. It's an African American gentleman whose tagline is "That ain't right."
Oh yeah, I've seen him too. And then there's another guy that's completely silent, but he's got one of those little pointers that has a little hand,
Yeah.
and he'll go up and he'll tap whatever is wrong with the little pointer hand, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But this is why Sanford, when Sanford and I initially started house hunting, Sanford was like, "I want a new house," and I'm like,
New.
"I do not want a new house."
There's a subdivision going up on the east side of Owl Park
Yeah.
on Bell Road, and the company that bought it, I'm waiting for them to shut down as soon as they can build the last one. They bought somebody's little private ranch. Somebody had a little private ranch, and this builder bought the east field, and he's putting in these cheek by jowl slime mold houses.
Yeah.
And Jim and I watched.
Yeah.
There was one 2-story house, and they framed it out, and the framing wasn't great, but they framed it out, and then winter hit. And
They were stubbing the frames.
it snowed, and then it rained for 2 months.
Yeah.
And then it's the first sunny day that they started slapping drywall up. They didn't pull the studs down, didn't pull a
even
frame.
dried.
Started slapping up drywall, and somebody paid $300,000 for a house unseen.
Yeah.
Some
Bill
California
makes a good
idiot.
point. That way they don't have to fulfill any warranties
Yeah, exactly.
or take responsibility for their
Right.
crappy work habits.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of which, the little house that's right next to us, to the other side, there was one, the one that was for sale. They gave up on trying
Yeah.
to sell it and they rented it out. The one on the other side, the renters moved out and they are going to be fixing it up to sell. And for the people out there that say you can't get a house for less than $100,000, well, I'm here to tell you that if you look, you certainly can, because it's a nice little house and it's going to be under $100,000 even after she does the repairs.
Yeah.
So double lot and 2 beds, 1 bath. So it's a modest little home, but for most people, that's probably going to be enough unless you've got a big family.
Yeah. No. Resident 1 says, wish we could build on our lot next door to us, but that we bought. Small problem. Lowest cost house, $500,000 to build, unless it's a garbage trailer. Funny story.
What the hell?
Alpharetta, Georgia. This was 20 years ago. Jack Nicklaus put in a subdivision golf course down there. It was off one of the major roads just north of Alpharetta. Well, across the street from the entrance was a farmer's land. So they decided they would go in and buy that and put in a little shopping center.
Okay.
So they figured this is a dumb old Georgia boy. He ain't going to know what we're doing. And they lowballed it.
Uh-huh.
And they lowballed him. And they lowballed him. And he basically said, y'all are screwing with me. I ain't going to put up with it. And they laughed and said, well, what do you think you're going to do? Wrong thing to say.
I can think of any number of things I could do with that land.
So there is the trashiest trailer park you've ever seen. I mean, there is not a new trailer in the place, or wasn't.
Fight, it gets things done.
And they were all single whites. They were all old single whites. He went and bought trash trailers and put them on that land and rented them for $50 a month.
I'd do worse than that. I don't know if y'all. We're about to see who the country boys are. I would plant 3 successive years of Milo, and then when it went to pollen, I'd run up and down beating the stalks.
I don't know if Milo will grow in Georgia. It might be too wet there.
Because I'm here to tell you.
Hey, James.
Hey, James. See you at LibertyCon. I'm here to tell you that when Milo pollen gets in the air, ragweed is a wimp.
But that's the other argument for buying a nice old house with good bones,
Yeah.
not doing the HGTV crap to it.
Yeah.
And having yourself a modest little home that your taxes aren't too high on. You don't have to worry about modern builders with complete lack of
I honestly, the company that's building on Bell, I want to go by and see if their work crew showed up today.
Yeah.
Because I went by there and one time and said, because you know what Pookie is?
Yeah.
Pookie is I know there's an actual name for it.
Yeah. Don't get me started. I know what you're talking about.
Comes in the tubes, comes and cut off the end. Caulk, Pookie.
Yeah.
And I was looking at one of the walked in because what the hell, and the drywall came down like this, and then they filled in the space that wide with Pookie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I was going, the hell? And it was like, no, sir. Uh-huh.
Yep. That is a truism. Well, folks, we've wasted another hour of your time.
Holy crap, we have. So, I am leaving sometime tomorrow. Jonna is leaving. Jonna and are leaving at 9 a.m. I am leaving sometime tomorrow, stopping off to grab some folks. We're going to overnight between here and there and hopefully pull into Chattanooga sometime around noonish, local time.
So I will probably be by myself on Thursday. So
Yeah, because I'm leaving early tomorrow.
okay.
I'm gonna wander up through
So Thursday may be very
Colorado.
short.
So yeah.
Bring ducks or be destroyed. Bring it. I have minions who have been plotting. So
There will be no open warfare on the chat. Thank you very much.
oh no, this is
This is on the panels.
This is on the panel.
I don't care.
Jim Curtis and Rita will not be there. Neither
Nope.
will Cedar.
I am gonna go watch my baby cousin get married.
I'm going to
So-
be twitchy because Rita won't be there. So
I am recovering from back surgery, so I'm feeling better. Still no sciatic pain. I'm off all pain meds. Yay.
Yay.
So y'all have fun. And remember, folks, don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff.
might be here next Tuesday. It's going to depend.
I might be here next Tuesday. It's gonna depend.
So you may get me twice. All right.
I may be in the crawl space under the house, daring anybody to come near me.
Y'all take care, folks.
Be
and
safe.
I'll be here on Thursday, contrary to what the rest of them.
You may get the other old coot because my husband will be here.
Oh, then she says remote her in.
Yeah.
All right.
Something
I'll
can
do
be
that,
arranged.
Nancy.
Someone can be arranged.
Yep. All right. Y'all take care. Have a good week, folks.
Be safe, guys.
Bye.